When you have chronic illness like me, walking through the emergency room doors can trigger instant trauma response. A lot of times, our heart will start racing, blood pressure goes up, pain that we were feeling feels more intense. It's hard to put our thoughts together. And so today I wanted to just make a video about how do we start to regulate our emotions at that point? How do we start to be able to slow down enough and hopefully give ourselves a little bit of compassion as we're trying to figure out navigating the emergency room, still advocating for ourselves, and just being completely out of our window of tolerance. So, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This, even as I'm just bringing this up, I am literally, my heart is starting to race a little bit more. And it doesn't help that this morning was not the best breathing morning for me. So I definitely appreciate some of your patience as you're like, okay, well, how do I get regulated? What do I do? And you're going to be working through that with me in real time. With chronic illness, a lot of times it's not been just one time that we're headed to the emergency room. It's time after time. And a lot of emergency room staff, they are overworked, they're exhausted, and they're also dealing with a very toxic system that they did not design. It is not their plan. They just want to help people. And so sometimes we're in a spot where neither party is showing up as their best self. So then it's like, okay, now I also have to be the regulated one. Okay, I'm sick and I got to be regulated, which is not a fun place to be. However, it is a place where we can start to regain some of our power and to be able to start to advocate for ourselves. But before we can even do that, one of the things that I do is I'm in a spot where I just have to just accept, okay, you're out of your window of tolerance. You're not your best self. You don't feel good. You're not going to show up as your best self. And so I have to start for myself of just acknowledging where I am at. Well, as soon as I'm able to acknowledge where I'm at, I'm like, okay, my brain's able to shift gears a little bit. And I'm like, I need to do something to help myself here in the moment. That's just what I need to do. And so one of those things that I do first and foremost is I do some square breathing. And sometimes I'm not always in a place where I can do square breathing because of my lung issues. So sometimes I need to just start doing some big sighs. Just so sometimes even just on the way getting to the emergency room, just like, because when we're stressed, when our bodies are in fight or flight, we're in that process where we're not making full exhales and we're also holding on to more carbon dioxide. So sometimes just I can start to almost like a pressure cooker relieve a little bit of that distress that I'm experiencing. And as I'm in that place, sometimes I'm at a place where I can get ready to shift into square breathing. So, square breathing, what is it? You know, there's so many different breathing patterns out there. With square breathing, it's one of the beginner steps in terms of learning how to square breathe. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll just check in with myself on a scale of 0 to 10. What level of distress am I experiencing in the moment? And even as I started this video, like I still have a little bit of heartburn. My breathing is a little bit more shallow than what I would like. I could hear my voice is speaking a little bit higher. And so I'm like, oh, not feeling the best. So I would put myself right now probably at a 5, maybe a 4.5. And I know for myself, if I'm at about a 5, I usually need to do something to help my body. And so square breathing, it's kind of like a no-brainer thing that you can do just to be able to help your body. So how does it work? So I know I'm at a 5, 4.5 right now. So how it works is you're going to hold your breath for 4 seconds, and I'm putting my hand up because I'm literally just going to draw almost kind of like a script for you. So I'll hold my breath for 4 seconds. I'm gonna breathe in for 4 seconds. Whoop, whoop, whoop. See what I'm saying? That 4.5 to 5, the brain just does not work the best. So I will breathe in for about 4 seconds, and then I will hold my breath for 4 seconds, and then I'll exhale for 4 seconds, and then I'll hold my breath for another 4 seconds. And so I will do this process probably about a good 3 to 4 times. After I do about 3 to 4 times, I'm just going to kind of relax a little bit, find my own natural breathing routine. And the reason that I do that in between is because a lot of times I get lightheaded when I do too much deep breathing too quickly. So again, that balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in my brain, my body's trying to figure it out. And so I like to do some regular breaths in between. It makes me feel less anxious. It makes me kind of be able to find my own rhythm and I just feel better. And so after I breathe normally for a few seconds, then I will go back to the square breathing and I'll go up in for 4 seconds. I will hold my breath for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then I'll hold my breath again for 4 seconds. And so I will do that process again, probably for about another 2 to 3 rounds. And it just depends upon how I'm feeling. And then after that, then I will kind of breathe naturally again. And then I usually, if I'm above a five or five or above, I'm usually going to do a third round. And so I will do another set of 2 to 3 square breaths. And then that process usually takes me about 5 minutes, about 3 to 5 minutes to do that. And so I highly recommend, I'm actually going to do it now, just so that you have an idea of kind of like what it looks like, how the body shifts and changes. And if you would like to do it with me, you're more than welcome to. I am not able to provide any sort of professional guidance as you do this. So if you have any breathing issues, or anything that's going on in your body, you're not sure, definitely talk to your healthcare provider before practicing doing any sort of breath work. For me, sometimes if I'm really having difficulty breathing, sometimes just some pursed lip breathing is better for me. So I will just go like this. So when I'm saying pursed lip, I'm just like barely having my mouth open and I'm just really trying to make sure that I'm exhaling fully and I'm breathing in a way that feels good for my body and then I'm exhaling just to try to slow down my nervous system. And even just those few pursed lip breathing, it did help my distress go down. So I feel more like a 4.5, solid 4, just those few breaths. And again, it's something that you can do really private. Definitely, I'm at a solid 4 now. Something that you can do privately. You don't have to tell anybody that you're with. Sometimes the folks that I'm with, they're usually more nervous or scared because they're worried about losing me. And so for me, being a wife, a mom, a daughter, and oldest daughter syndrome, black oldest daughter syndrome. A lot of times I feel responsible for other people's emotions, and so I usually need to take it down for me just a couple notches. So just me doing that pursed lip breathing, I've gone down. I'm probably at a really good 4 right now. So again, check with your medical providers before doing any sorts of changes to your routine. I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I do. Okay. And so I just kind of get myself in a position where I can be seated because at an emergency room, you may have people coming in and out. And that is frustrating, but also you know that you need help. But for me, where I'm located, I usually have to wait a really long time. And so that can be frustrating. So just doing some sort of breath work is usually really helpful. And so when I'm doing my square breathing, again, I'm already acknowledged. I know where I'm at. I'm starting off at a 4. Thank you, pursed lip breathing. And I'm just getting myself comfy. And so breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. Out, two, three, four. Hold your breath. In, two, three, four. Hold your breath. Out, two, three, four. Hold your breath. In, two, three, four. Hold your breath. Out, two, three, four. Hold your breath. Breathe naturally. This is that spot where I just allow my body to just find its own natural rhythm. Sometimes I'll just put my hand on my belly. And when I feel like I've kind of caught my breath, I'm going to pick back up the scrub breathing. Ready? In, two, three, four. Hold your breath. Out, two, three, four. Hold. In, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. In, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. In, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. Breathe naturally. Oh my goodness, I feel better already. It's just nice. Again, sometimes there's so much going on outside the body, inside the body. And it just feels good to catch a breath. And I'm going to pick it back up for my last set of scrub breathing. Ready? Breathe in, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. In, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. In, two, three, four. Hold. Out, two, three, four. Hold. Breathe naturally. Allowing the body to go its own natural rhythm. Just feeling how good it feels to breathe. And oh, I forgot to mention this earlier. A lot of times I will find a fixed point that I look at is before I get started. And so by this point in time, I'm lifting my gaze from wherever my gaze was fixed off to the side, just breathing, whether it's in the car or at the emergency room. And I'll lift my gaze. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of stretch. And again, your own body. Okay. And I'll just kind of just check in with myself on a scale of 0 to 10. Where are you at? And right now I feel like I'm at a 3, which the goal of this is not necessarily to get to 0. You're still in the emergency room. You're still dealing with all the things that are going on. And the goal is to be able to be enough in your body that you can advocate for yourself, that you can track what's going on. Again, the person who's coming in to provide care, sometimes they're in fight or flight. It is really important for us to be able to stop and to see if we're in fight or flight, to be able to notice what can we do to help ourselves. I realized earlier I threw out a psychobabble term and I said, out of my window of tolerance. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if people actually know what that means. And so, out of our window of tolerance essentially means when we can handle so much stress, okay? And so, we start going too far in terms of handling stress, we can go into something called hyper-arousal. And so hyper-arousal is the spot where the body can feel more activated, more distressed, and sometimes it looks like anxiety, it looks like anger, irritability. That's that spot. That's that spot where I was just talking about earlier, where my heart was going a little bit faster and I wasn't feeling the best. It was hard for me to focus. So that spot's not a fun place to be in, but sometimes we'll be there for maybe a few seconds, maybe a little bit longer. And then if we're there long enough, we'll go into hypo-arousal. And so hypo-arousal is the space where all of a sudden you kind of feel tired, kind of feel sleepy. Some people describe being on like autopilot. Sometimes I've heard people say, well, I don't know, it kind of feels like depression, or I just kind of feel like I'm glazed over. I'll hear clients say things like their partner told them, like, hey, Earth to Sally, Earth to Bobby, Earth to whoever it is, like, are you there? But folks are just kind of checked out in hypo-arousal. So the goal is to hopefully be in the middle, not be so distressed that we're in hyper arousal, not be so checked out that we're in hypo arousal. The goal is hopefully to be in the middle. That's where we're going to be able to operate at our best. At the same time, if you're in an emergency room, if there was ever a place to be out of your window of tolerance, it makes perfect sense that you would be in hyper arousal or hypo arousal, not feeling good. And so, even just give yourself a little bit of grace with that. Take that as a breath in of like, that's why I'm here. Maybe a big sigh on that one. Sometimes it's just where we're at. And so there's no shame, there's no shade on either of these places. It's just information that our body is letting us know, hey, I need something here. Hey, I need something here. Sometimes I've seen people switch from hyper-arousal to hypo-arousal so quickly that they'll be a little irritated and then they'll just fall asleep. So if you've ever had a fight with your partner and at the end of the fight, you're like, I'm going to take a nap. Hypo-arousal. Or you and your partner just had it out, had some tense words, and you are kind of up all night, you can't sleep, but your partner is sleeping peacefully in the bed. These are spots where I start hearing people say a lot of awful things about their sleeping partner, and a lot of impulsive thoughts in terms of like, what I would do to that person who's just sleeping. Their body is in hypo-arousal. And so anytime we're dealing with an amount of stress that's just too much, it is a sign to number one, stop, please stop, pause, notice where you're at, notice you don't feel the best. Check in with yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. How are you at? If your number is 5 or above, maybe doing something that's helpful for your body, maybe, doing some pursed lip breathing like you saw me doing. Maybe that means that you need to do some square breathing. Check in with yourself. Maybe that means that you need to get a cold drink of water. Like, it is amazing to me how just like getting a cold drink of water, washing my face, oh, my fingers are nice and cool. How that is enough to be able to shift the nervous system so that you're a little bit more in your window of tolerance. Also, when we're in hypo-arousal, I forgot, that's where people tend to not remember so much. So we'll go to the emergency room, we won't remember what happened, we won't remember providers, we won't remember medications, we're just kind of out of it. So the faster that we can do this is not just for the emergency room, this is anywhere. With square breathing specifically, my kids and I do this in the morning on the way to school. So whatever is going on with them, whatever's in their minds, it gives them an opportunity to hit reset. Reset. Again, we're not trying to get all the way down to 0 necessarily. If you get there, woohoo, great for you. If not, that's okay. We just want to be a little bit more in our window of tolerance. We feel a little bit better. Number one. Number two, we're able to remember some things and be able to be in a better position to advocate for ourselves. So I hope something that I've said was helpful for you. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I do ask that you would take that time to do that. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I really hope that you take this time to find ways of being able to take better care of yourself. Also, as you're in that process of trying to take care of your loved ones, please, please, please have a little bit of compassion. Life's not always easy. Hope to see you next time. Bye.